torquey. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a 2022 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. First and foremost, so a huge shout out and thank you to the Brent Brown Toyota here in Orem, Utah for giving me some time with this TRD Pro. Check out the inventory in the description down below. Let's get into the review. So under the hood we have a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 that goes through a 6-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 22 on the highway, with power outputs being 278 horsepower and then 265 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of the TRD Pro. So first off, you guys can see we've got the hood scoop there in the center, which looks really cool and aggressive. And then we have the TRD Pro script right there. It's kind of hard to see. Coming down below, we've got the LED reflector lights, and notice how it says Pro in it. I think that's another cool touch. We've got the rigid fog lights here that are also part of the TRD Pro package. We have the old school Toyota logo, which looks fantastic with the sensor there below the logo. And again, from a front end perspective, this truck looks great. And then we've got the TRD skid plate here at the bottom as well. Coming around the side here, we've got two 65mm tires wrapped around 16-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear. And notice I've got the TRD specific wheels, which are all blacked out, look fantastic, got the red accenting. Now, we have the 2.5-inch internal bypass shocks from Fox. They have been tuned by TRD for this whole setup. It's kind of hard to see here in the front end, but you guys can kind of see the setup there. And this truck has been lifted a little bit compared to the 2021 TRD Pro. We've got the large fender flares, we've got our blacked out Tacoma badge there on the side, and then we'll actually pop here to the rear so you guys can see the shock there in the rear a little bit better. Still have leaf springs, all that fun stuff. Notice we have TRD Pro now stamped into the bed rather than being a sticker. And then here's your full side view. Notice that we've got the rails there at the top, and then you can see the exhaust there in the rear all blacked out, which definitely looks cool. Now here's our key fob. We have our unlock and our lock, and then our Toyota logo there on the back, and we'll actually open up the bed here. So the tailgate is dampened. We have a payload capacity of 990 pounds here for the Tacoma. You guys can see we've got the full power outlet here in the bed. We've got the LED bed lights on either side, and then the LED cargo light there at the top. Composite bed, which is definitely nice. You don't have to worry about scratching or scraping anything. And lifting up the tailgate, it is a little bit on the heavier side, but not too bad. Now, let's go over the rest of the rear. So we've got our blacked out elements here on the side with the tail lights. We've got all of our blacked out badges, Tacoma stamped on the bed, TRD Pro as well. And then I showed you guys earlier the exhaust tip, but here's another look. You guys will like the sound of it. And there you go. Now here's the door panel in the rear. You guys can see the material use here on the side. And here are the seats that come standard with the TRD Pro. Definitely a cool look from a material standpoint. Now it's got the red stitching here as well on the seats, which is great. And then you guys can see a couple of cup holders right there. And yeah, there you go. Boom. Now here's the door panel at the front. You guys can see again with all of the padding, all of our window controls. Notice front two are automatic. Got the mirror adjustments as well. Blind spot monitoring there for the mirrors. And then here is the front seat. So you got TRD Pro there in the headrest. And you guys can see again with the red stitching on the pattern here in the center. And then more on the side. Power adjustments. Got the pedal layout down below. Got like the hood latch release. We've got this for the cargo light, the camera, stability control for the outlet. And, well, there's one look before we pop in. Now here is the steering wheel. We've got leather here at the top and at the bottom. Perfect leather here on the sides to get a little bit of a better grip. Controls here for the center shack. We got like our cruise control, all that fun stuff. Volume controls on the other side, the voice command controls, turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock, and there's the steering wheel. Now here's the center gauge cluster. You got analog gauges on either side, and then we can scroll through a few different menus here in the center as well to see different bits of information on the vehicle. This is important, right? The off-road status, all that good stuff, especially the roll and the pitch. And yeah, there you go. Here's the center infotainment system. First off, we pop it in reverse. We got a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. Now it's got the bird's eye view, and then you can change the viewpoint with the camera. And we press the camera view button. Now it's got the front camera that'll pop on, and again, we got that bird's eye view as well. And then we've got the side cameras on top of that. As to the rest, the infotainment system response time with the buttons is great. And then with the screen as well, it's also solid. It's not as good as Toyota's newest infotainment system, but it still does a really good job. Down below here, we've got our climate controls. We do have dual zone climate, heated seats for the front as well. And then you got a hazard light button, of course. 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel high, 4-wheel low. And then down below, you got like blind spot monitoring or ECT power, parking sensors. This is for the rear window to open it, which is nice. Kind of like our charging port area. It does have a wireless phone charger as well. A couple of cup holders. And then we have our shifter for that 6-speed automatic. It does have a manual shift function. And then the red here on the shifter too is definitely nice. A couple of cup holders. And then the center console on top of that. And here's the glove box setup. Really good storage. And then you got the padding there on the top. And then we have our, well, sunroof first, actually. We'll go over that. We've got like our off-road controls here. So we have the locker for the rear, controls for the sunroof. And then we've got kind of like our, well, crawl control, and then kind of like our, basically, so you press this button right here. It'll tell you to shift in 4-wheel low, and that'll let you go through the different stuff with your crawl control and kind of with your off-road cruise control as well through the settings. So yeah, I don't know. Pretty cool setup. Definitely capable from an off-road perspective. So here's our window sticker for this Tacoma TRD Pro. Feel free to read the standard equipment if you guys want to, so freeze the frame for all of that. And this one doesn't have any optional equipment. This is literally just the TRD Pro package with an automatic transmission. Total MSRP, $49,855. And wait for it. Let's see how this thing drives. Let's talk about visibility before we set off. There's visibility of the hood, both the mirrors, which do have blind spot monitoring, and throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. Setting off here in the TRD Pro, and I have waited such a long time to be able to review this. Ever since I read that they're changing the Tacoma for 2022 a little bit with the TRD Pro package, you know, the extra lift and all that. I'm like, you know what? What's this thing gonna be like? So first off, getting up and driving it. Smooth. V6 does a great job from a torque perspective with getting it up and moving it. I did drive a 4Runner today as well, and you can definitely feel a difference between the 5-speed and the 6-speed automatic. This one having the 6-speed just feels just a little bit more modern, feels a little bit quicker with the shifting and all that. Suspension's amazing. So it has that floaty feel that you kind of get from like a Jeep Wrangler if you've driven one of those. The new Ford Bronco kind of gives you that feeling as well, a little bit. Less so though with the Ford Bronco. But I mean, a larger Toyota, like I did a review on a Land Cruiser recently. I don't know if I probably haven't posted that video yet. I'm probably gonna post this video first. But yeah, this has that floating feeling. And you know, some people might not like it. I love it because when you go off-road, it does the same thing. So you don't have harsh impacts. You just kind of like float over everything, which is great. Yeah, for having leaf springs, it stays really planted. That's impressive. That's very impressive. I'm surprised with that. Usually you'll have a little bit of back end bouncing and everything because of the leaf springs, so that's solid. Go all the way around the roundabout here. It's always fun. Handling, yeah, solid. It's a small truck, so. Torquey. Yeah, it's got more than enough power for off-road use and on-road use, frankly. You know, on the highway, right? I had that Trail Edition for a week, and that was a little bit annoying sometimes on the highway, but it did a great job overall. And I want to talk about the Trail Edition a little bit, right? Because like, should you really go for the TRD Pro? Like, is it worth it? And here's what I have to say after driving this. The more advanced shocks and everything and the looks and all that, I would say it's worth it, especially if you're going to use the off-road capability. If you're not going to use the off-road capability, the Trail Edition, especially for 22, looks really cool. It has the Heritage, you can get it with the Heritage Toyota front logo, so it has that cool look. And so, and it's going to drive very similar to this. But if you're actually going to use the off-road capability, this thing, the suspension and the shocks on this are just unreal for a Tacoma. This has the best setup that Toyota has in a truck. Well, mid-size truck, right? I love how it feels. And this makes me excited for the Tundra TRD Pro because that's got the new 5-link coil suspension. And so I'm really excited to see how you know, the Fox shocks and everything perform with that. Yeah, the dampening on this is amazing. Like going over that in any other car, going through that dip, you're really gonna like feel it. And this, it's just soft through it. So yeah, that's the new TRD Pro. Cool truck. That's gonna sum things up for our video on this 2022 Tacoma TRD Pro. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Brent Brown Toyota here in Orem for giving me some time with the Tacoma. Check out the inventory in the description down below. I'll see you guys.